What if I told you that the meat you eat might not come from an animal but from a plant, and you wouldn't even notice the difference? It sounds like science fiction, but it's real. Impossible Foods is not only changing what we put on our plates, it's also shaking up an industry that seemed untouchable. Today on Economy Factor, we're going to discover how this food tech startup is challenging meat giants, betting on biotechnology and sustainability to redefine the future of food. When Dr. Patrick O. Brown, a Stanford biochemist, decided to tackle one of the biggest environmental problems, meat production. Brown knew that livestock is responsible for a large share of greenhouse gas emissions and water consumption. So he asked himself, what if we could make meat without animals? From this idea, Impossible Foods was born, with the mission to replicate the taste, texture, and experience of eating meat, but using plants. After years of research, the company discovered a key ingredient, soy leghemoglobin, a molecule that contains heme, responsible for the distinctive taste and color of meat. This breakthrough was crucial to make their products not only look like meat, but actually taste like it. However, the road wasn't easy. Using plant-based heme required extensive testing and FDA approval, as it was an ingredient never used at such a scale in food. Once they overcame this regulatory hurdle, Impossible Foods started introducing its product in select U.S. restaurants, partnering with renowned chefs to validate its proposal. One of the first big visibility hits came when Burger King launched the Impossible Whopper, a 100% plant-based burger that tasted almost identical to the original. This partnership proved that plant-based meat could go mainstream, rapidly scaling the brand's presence in fast food chains and supermarkets. Impossible Foods didn't try to compete head-on with traditional meat at first. Instead, it targeted a niche, environmentally conscious consumers and curious vegetarians, and later expanded to the mass market. By improving its product and cutting costs, it moved from being an alternative option to becoming a real threat to meat producers. These kinds of technologies don't just compete in the market, they transform the whole system. Impossible Foods doesn't just sell burgers, it sells a more sustainable future. Each product displaces emissions, reduces water usage, and eases pressure on land. This green narrative, backed by studies and smart branding, has been key to its adoption. A crucial part of Impossible Foods' success has been its ability to attract visionary investors. From its early days, it caught the attention of figures like Bill Gates, who has repeatedly supported projects focused on food sustainability. Investment funds like Temasek, Horizons Ventures, and Kozla Ventures also bet big, pouring hundreds of millions of dollars to speed up research and production. Thanks to this backing, Impossible Foods went from operating in labs and test kitchens to building a distribution network that spans from US supermarkets to restaurants in Asia and Europe. Each funding round not only improved their technology, but also expanded production capacity and lowered costs, a necessary step to achieve mass adoption. Impossible Foods' success isn't just about technology, it's also about changing people's perceptions. The company has invested in marketing campaigns that not only promote its products but also educate about the environmental impact of industrial livestock. Many of its ads and packaging highlight figures like 96% less land used or 87% fewer greenhouse gas emissions compared to a traditional beef burger. Their strategy also includes collaborations with famous chefs and restaurants to show that a plant-based burger can be gourmet. This combination of education and experience has been crucial to breaking cultural barriers and convincing even the most skeptical meat lovers that there's an alternative without sacrificing taste. Beyond marketing, the numbers speak for themselves. According to data published by the company and supported by environmental studies, producing an Impossible Burger generates 89% less CO2 emissions, uses 87% less water, and requires 96% less land than conventional beef production. These numbers are a powerful argument for those looking to reduce their ecological footprint without drastically changing their diet. These figures also reinforce Impossible Foods' role as a key player in the fight against climate change. It's not just a food company, it's part of a movement seeking technological solutions to urgent environmental problems. Despite its impressive journey, Impossible Foods hasn't been free from criticism. The traditional meat industry has launched campaigns questioning the safety of its ingredients, accusing the company of relying on genetically engineered and non-transparent processes. Additionally, some vegan advocates criticize its products for imitating meat instead of promoting a more radical change in eating habits. There's also the cost debate. Currently, plant-based products tend to be more expensive than conventional meat, which limits access in price-sensitive markets. Some argue that while they're better for the environment, large-scale soy and other crop production also has negative impacts, such as deforestation in certain regions. These controversies haven't stopped its growth, but highlight that food disruption also faces cultural, regulatory, and economic barriers that can't be ignored. The Impossible Foods revolution isn't happening in a vacuum. All over the world, initiatives are emerging to redefine how we produce protein. In Europe, startups like Hura and Moving Mountains are gaining ground with similar proposals adapted to local markets. In Asia, where meat demand is huge, companies are developing plant-based alternatives that incorporate traditional flavors to attract consumers. Even big meat companies like Tyson and JBS have invested in plant-based product lines, showing that the industry is evolving instead of resisting. This widespread adoption of alternative proteins isn't just about environmental concern. It's also driven by generational changes. Younger consumers prioritize sustainability, ethics, and health. The case of Impossible Foods is just the tip of the iceberg of a global trend that combines technological innovation with social change. While in the US, partnerships with chains like Burger King are booming, in other countries, hybrid products are emerging, mixing plant protein with lab-grown meat, opening up possibilities that seemed unthinkable just a few years ago. The future looks promising. Impossible Foods plans to expand into new markets and develop foods that not only replace meat but surpass it in taste and nutrition. If it manages to cut costs and scale up, it wouldn't be far-fetched to think that in a few decades traditional meat could become a luxury and plant protein the norm. In short, Impossible Foods doesn't just sell plant-based burgers, it sells a vision. A vision where eating meat doesn't mean destroying the planet. Will they succeed? Everything points to yes, but the challenge lies in winning over the skeptics and continuing to innovate before others take the lead. And now I want to know what you think. Would you try an Impossible Burger? Do you believe the meat of the future will be plant-based, lab-grown, or will we stay the same? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Economy Factor, hit the bell, and like this video to keep exploring the businesses that are changing the world. See you in the next video.